Hello, welcome back to the Sunday live interview on this amazing channel where you can learn how to improve your life and your relationship. Tonight, I am so happy, enthusiastic because I have a great, iconic woman that she will share her experience, expertise, and knowledge in helping you to change, improve your life. So I am ready to introduce you my great friend Nicola Gaughan. Welcome, Nicola Gaughan. Welcome.
Hello, Christian. Lovely to be here. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm very happy to have you tonight
Yeah, I'm
because
good. I'm glad to be here.
You have a great story behind your success, your business, your story, and sure tonight we can share more about yourself, your business, and help women to understand that is it possible changing and transform our life. So welcome,
Yes.
Nicola.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm very happy to have you here. And so, if you want to share more about yourself, who you are, what you're doing, and your plan for the future. Thank you.
Plans for the future, right? Okay. I call myself a creative consultant. So I'm a designer, photographer, and filmmaker, and I help people create marketing materials that reflect what their business is like and help them gain new business leads and inquiries, that sort of thing. But I've always been good at craft, always been good at art and painting and drawing and just making stuff. So that's why I call myself a creative consultant, because it's not just the three main skills that I offer as a business. I have always been creative, always made stuff. And I felt that represented who I am more than just the business.
Yes, exactly. In fact, usually I invite my guests to feel comfortable, to be open, create a flow, so our lives get more genuine, and then the viewers they can learn more how entrepreneurs, business women, they transform their lives from the darkness into something magical. But it's not easy for we is outside, because we just as viewers we are looking for what is the success, about the story behind the people. They are building day per day the story. So if you want to share more about yourself, how you rebuilt your life, overcoming adversity, and then how your skills, your talents help you to create your idea of your business, and how women they can be inspired by your experience.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're talking about a specific experience here, aren't we? For those of people, the audience that are watching, I went through a particularly I've had several unpleasant experiences in my life, but the one particular experience that I think Christian's referring to is surviving 10 years with a psychopath. Now, I can't remember the exact date, but I met this chap at a biker event. Now, I was coming out of a divorce, breaking up with my husband, my ex-husband, and I was looking to kind of rebuild my life. Then I was at the time working in a retail job. I won't mention the retail company, but I was working in a very mundane retail environment, shop assistant type of stuff. And I was being bullied at work, and I thought, okay, because I'd come out of the design, because I'd gone to do a postgrad from my design role, and when I came back it was all computerized. So in that little interim space I was working at a retail environment, and decided I wanted to get a bit more interest and excitement in my life, and I joined a motorbike club in South London. I had started riding a bike, so I was only on a CB100, I think it was, a little Honda CB100, and I used to go to a place up in North London, and then they had a party in a pub in South London, just across the river. There's a big hospital there. Can't remember what it's called. St Thomas's. This pub was near St Thomas's, and I met this chap there, and almost instantly fell in love with this particular person, and for various reasons, various things happened, and he moved in with me. But there were things that always were a bit odd in the relationship. Like I'm writing a book about it, so if people want to know more, they can either message me or read the book when it's actually out. It's called How to Survive a Psychopath, and I'm still just finishing off some of the bits on writing it. But we became a couple. He moved in, and then things like the verbal violence started, the drinking started, the manipulation started. But I didn't understand what it was I was experiencing. If you have ever experienced someone who's got a disorder, the behaviour can be very odd. You don't know what's going on really, and it can destabilise you. You don't understand why you're getting this behaviour. You don't understand why they're drinking, why they're accusing you of stuff. And I started to live in fear. Now, if you want to see the basics of my story, the first post on my blog on iconiccreative.co.uk is a story about this. It'll give you the overview of it. And it talks about how gradually going from a really nice, what I thought was a loving relationship, into a relationship built on fear, it was really quite kind of soul destroying, I suppose. And then I kind of, after about 5 years, I'd had enough, but I didn't have the courage to end it. I didn't know how to end it. I didn't know what his reaction would be. I was really scared of his reaction. And then I stayed another 5 years in this relationship, and it really was quite awful towards the end. I was getting what I later realised were panic attacks. And in one particular place, I was in a shop, a well-known supermarket chain that I had actually worked in, and I can remember trying to decide what to have for dinner that night. Now, this may not seem much of an issue, but he manipulated me by saying he was allergic to garlic. Now, I love garlic, and I stopped eating food with garlic in because he claimed it made him sick. So any meal that we had was exceedingly boring, meat and 2 veg pie and mash and all that sort of stuff. And now, for anybody that has any interest in food, this is pretty mundane, boring stuff. It's okay once in a while, but if you have it every day for 10 years, you get sick to death of it. So there I was in this retail supermarket chain trying to decide what to have for dinner. You'd be surprised at how many of these pre-packaged meals have powdered garlic in them. And I just sat in the fridge, literally had my rear end in the fridge, sat there crying, thinking, I can't do this anymore. And then tried to get to the supermarket checkout, and I was just going round and round, spinning round. I couldn't find the exit. I couldn't see where the exits were, where the tills were. And this was a place I'd actually worked in. And then I decided this has got to come to an end. So I decided, okay, I will do it this Saturday. whatever the week was, I would do it this Saturday. I would tell him it's bank holiday. I'll tell him it's over. That particular evening, he said to me, I was brushing my teeth. So can you imagine white teeth, like foaming, you know, rabies. He said to me, "You won't kiss me anymore. Why?" And I said, through frothed, gritting teeth, "Because I want a trial separation." It just came out. And the look on his face was classic, to be honest. So then what happened was he wouldn't go for a month. I asked him to leave. He wouldn't go. He thought that he should stay there, even though the flat is in my name. And then I used to do archery. At this particular time, I was going to an archery club in Perivale. And it was a Wednesday evening. And what he had done is he said, "Okay, I'm going to go down to our friend's house in wherever it was, and I'm going to look for work, and I'm going to help her look after her baby." It wasn't his, by the way, it was somebody else's, but I'm going to help her look. And I thought, that's a great idea. And so there, whilst he was away, I was going to my archery club as usual. And I get a call as I'm coming out, struggling, trying to manage my bow, other equipment, a bit quiver and stuff like that, trying to get to the bus stop. And I get a call from him saying, "Excuse me if I swear or any bad language, but you bitch, you've told the agencies that I'm an alcoholic and I can't get any work here now." I hadn't. Why would I do that? I wanted to get rid of him. But he was, this is what psychopaths do. They change the story. They change what the actual truth is. They lie about stuff, and they'll lie blatantly to your face, and you'll know it's not true. And they make you question your beliefs and your mental state, actually. So anyway, he said to me, "You've told the agency that I'm an alcoholic and I can't get any work down here." So then I went home, obviously really rattled, and went to bed. And then about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call from the friend that he'd gone to stay with, saying he's really pissed. He's out on the drive. I'm locked in the bathroom. He's threatened to kill me. And I thought, oh my God, this is just awful. Because she had her baby in the house as well. And I said, "Where is he now?" And she said, "Oh, he's asleep on the sofa now." But I thought, right, okay, this has got to end. And I thought, I have got to do this now. I've got to finish it now. Because he's not only has he kind of threatened me, he's threatened a friend of mine, or it's a mutual friend. So what I kind of, how you get these kind of critical moments in your life, you know you've got to do something, but you haven't got the courage. You've got to work the courage up. I was going around the flat, opening up the wardrobe doors, looking at all his stuff, thinking, I've got to do this. Closing the door, opening the door, I've got to do it, come on. And then I basically thought, okay, I've got to do it. And I grabbed his stuff out of the wardrobe and I threw it on the floor. Once I'd started, I couldn't stop. I threw everything that I could find of his on a pile in the floor. It was like, I felt like I had this little gremlin on my shoulder going, she's finally done it, hooray, hooray. And I was on a kind of emotional high, but that's all I couldn't stop. I was going around pulling books out because we two of us had loads and loads of books together and music. In those days it was CDs and tapes. It wasn't obviously digital like it was now. So there were physical tapes that I pulled out. And bear in mind, this is now about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm thinking, what do I do? What do I do? Excuse me a second. And I had a friend who worked at that point for a company in Wales called Technicolor, who did a lot of the graphics. They print graphics on DVD discs and stuff like that for big companies such as Disney, people like that. So I rang this chap because he used to work nights. So I rang him and said, this is what's happened. What should I do? He said, well, you need to call the police. So I rang the police, but the police were not very helpful at all. This is before the days of the stalker laws that they have in England now, and the it's called the Coercive Behaviour Act or something, which came in a few years ago. And the police were basically saying that because this chap had been living with me for over a year, he had right of entry to his house. Excuse me, he's just threatened to kill someone. He's been violent towards me, and you're saying he still has access to my flat? So the police were not helpful at all. Then, probably now more so, they would be more aware of it, more open to it, but at this particular time they weren't. So I was really frightened. So then once it got to kind of business hours, I'd done a search for a solicitor, and I made an appointment to see this solicitor, and I rang up my work and said, I can't come in, I've got to sort out a personal problem. So I went off to this solicitor and told him the situation, and we he said, right, we've got two options. We either write a letter and we tell him to move, or we get what's an injunction, say basically go away. So I was hoping, please let the letter work, so I haven't got 700 quid for an injunction, because they bled me dry. These people, they manipulate you. We are prey. They suck you dry of money, energy, all that sort of thing, but specifically money. So I'd been supporting us, both of us. So I was paying for everything, and because he was a lazy so-and-so, and I didn't have that much money because of that situation. So I was praying, let's hope the letter works. So what we arranged, he must have had experience of people with domestic violence situations. We wrote this letter and we sent it. Bear in mind, this was a Thursday morning now. We sent this letter immediately so that it would arrive on the Friday when he came back from visiting a friend, that friend that he'd threatened to kill. And then the solicitor said, you need to move out from home. And I went to stay with my parents at that time, so that the house was empty. And we gave him 2 days to leave. And then on the Friday, we'd timed it. I knew when he was going to come back from this place. And I'd messaged my client saying, I won't be answering the phones today. If you need me, email me and I will call you back. So at about 1 o'clock, my phone started going, and my email started going, and he was getting really, really violently obnoxious and threatening and all that sort of thing. And I rang the solicitor, said, I'm really scared. And the solicitor said, just ignore it. And I did, but it was still frightening. When you've got these calls coming in, you're under the spell of this particular person. But I ignored it. And then I went to stay with my parents. And then on the Sunday, I had to come back here. And I tried to get friends to come with me, and particularly male friends, because I needed support. Nobody would. I had one friend in the end, a female friend who did come here. And we walked up here, and I must admit, it's one of the most terrifying things I've ever done. I walked up to the front door, I put my key in the door, and I just took a deep breath. I went, okay, here goes. And I opened the door, and I could hear music. I thought, oh my God, he's still here. We've got a fight on our hands. And went in, and then found that he wasn't here. But the relief was amazing. But the place was a total tip. There was music playing, the heating was on, there was half-eaten food everywhere. The pile that he'd gone through stuff in the pile, but he'd left stuff behind. And it was a relief, but it was also quite numbing to sort of be in that situation, because you're still up on the high of adrenaline. So my friend called a locksmith, and we changed the locks. But I sat there, I can remember feeling, while she was tidying up, I sat there really numb. But I also knew it was a new point in my life. It was a new start. but I still did it. I was just kind of like, I couldn't feel anything except for relief, really. And then over the next sort of 6 months, I was really scared. I slept with the light on in the hall, and I had contacted the domestic violence unit of the police people. And they really helped. She said, it's amazing how many women from all walks of life have this experience. And it's not surprising. Please don't be kind of embarrassed or anything like that. Because you think, you're led to believe, and this is what I find really annoying about the Domestic Violence Act recently, is that it's perceived that domestic violence is a, please don't be insulted, anybody that's watching this, it's not meant to be, this is just my perception of what I saw and what I experienced. You get the impression, you're led to believe by society, by media, that domestic violence is a working class, a lower class situation. Oh, it only happens to working class women, or it only happens to lower class women. It doesn't. She said people of all walks of life have this. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, nothing to be ashamed of. And this is what they didn't address properly in the domestic violence preview document, because I actually went through it and I put stuff in, and it was all about working class women. It's all about people on low incomes, people that, or all that sort of thing. And it's not correct. It happens to everybody. Anyway, where were we? Right. So I spoke to the domestic violence people, and they said that I couldn't have a knife or anything because I could get done for if someone broke in and all that sort of stuff. So the only thing I could have was a can of hairspray by my bed. And that was really quite terrifying, because you've just gone from this really, really violent situation, but then you don't know where this person is, what they're planning. Because the thing with psychopaths is they manipulate and they plan, and things come at you from different angles. So I spent this 6 months in this, particularly the 6 months, in a very, very unstable, really scary, really scary, because you're scared for your life. If someone's threatened to kill you, obviously you're scared for your life. So really scary, adrenaline fueled 6 months. And I would get calls from friends going, Nicola, are you okay? He's threatened to kill you again. And I'm going, yes, yeah. And there was, where I live, it's a block of flats. I'm on the first floor, and there's a double staircase. So you go up one to my floor, and then you go up one to the next floor. And I would, every night I came in, I would check the stairs before I went up the stairs in case he was there to hit me on the head. Luckily, there's a security door now, but before, when I had this issue, there wasn't a security door. I would watch when I came out of the house or the flat, which way I would go, make sure there was people were not following me, because he threatened to have 2 people following me. So when you live in that environment, your cortisol and your oxytocin levels are really, really high. Your cortisol, particularly, is a stress hormone, and that really can affect you long term. It has affected me long term. It's caused me insomnia issues. I was awake at 3:30 this morning, and just generally living in fear. It's not good for the health. It's not good for your system. And so I've lived in that environment for 10 years. It's I had one person say to me recently, I don't know how you're still alive, Nicola. I sometimes wonder, I was extremely lucky. Whilst most of what I experienced was perceived violence, which some people might think is less violence than actual physical violence. It's not. It's still pretty hairy, because you never know how this person is going to react. When they come in, they could be in a nice mood, they could be in a horrendous mood, they could just put you in such a state that you're on edge all the time. So anyway, so there I am. I've got this 6 months. I've escaped from him physically, but I'm going through my computer, and the most vile images, not child pornography, but nasty adult stuff. everywhere in all the startup files. I had to go through every single file on my computer and delete the files, because it was every time I booted up the computer there was an issue, because at the time I was using a PC, not a Mac. So that's pretty distressing. The money situation was really bad because he'd got me in such debt. I had people knocking at the door. I had debt collection letters, all this. So I was trying to rebuild my, sort out my monies and stuff like that. And that's stressful. So you're living with the threat of violence. You're living with debt, which anybody who has lived with debt will know it affects your life, your sleep patterns and stuff. And then, of course, you're trying to rebuild your life, but you don't know who to trust. So for quite a long time, for at least I would say a couple of years, I didn't like to be with anybody that I didn't know at all. Because this particular person claimed to be Irish, I had quite an aversion, although I've got an Irish background, I had quite an aversion to being or hearing an Irish accent because of what he claimed. He claimed he was Irish and would do Irish accents and stuff like that. So I found it, particularly in the first year, very difficult to talk to anybody who was Irish, because it just set my hackles off. I didn't drink much. I didn't drink with anybody I didn't know. After a while, obviously, I got more and more relaxed. But in that first time, you're obviously protecting yourself because you've been through such a traumatic experience. You don't know who to trust. So obviously it got better and better. The money situation improved eventually. But just this thing with the money, this is when you deal with a psychopath, you never get the money back. If anybody's dealing with a psychopath and hoping that if they've gone to court and the judge has awarded them the money, you're never going to get it back. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't happen. They're never going to give it back to you. You just have to accept that money's gone. But I was able to get a little bit of payback, shall we say, revenge, whatever you like to call it. Whilst I was going through the flat, every now and again I'd find things of his in the flat as I was generally clearing up. And on this particular occasion, I had found a bank statement. And on this particular bank statement, at the beginning of the month, he had money in the account. Let's bear in mind, this is someone who claimed he didn't have any money and I was keeping him whilst he worked for a job, got towards a job. So there was money in this account. And by the end of the month, there was no money in this account. I was really furious when I saw this. I was so angry, thinking I was supporting him whilst he was supposed to be doing this business venture. And I didn't see a penny of that money. He's obviously pissed it up the wall. So I had been getting debt letters for him. And I'd been sending them back, not at this address, not at this address. And I was so angry when I saw this. I had a debt collection letter arrive for him. So rather than put it back in the post, I opened it up and I rang them. And I said to them, they said, "Are you so-and-so?" I said, "No, but I can, I've thrown him out. Do you want to know where he is?" And because at this point I did know where he was. So I gave them their address. And they go, "Oh, he really is giving us the runaround, isn't he?" And then, and I said, "By the way," I'd done a lot of research and I had discovered that he had 5 aliases. So I said, "Oh, do you want the aliases as well?" They went, "Oh, yes, please. They really is giving us the runaround." So the next thing I heard via the grapevine is that he had been arrested with his new girlfriend. Note, he had now got himself a new girlfriend that he could leech off. And they had been arrested, and all the stuff that he'd taken had been sold to pay his debt. And I was now the bitch from hell. So I did get my own back to a certain degree, but never got any of the money back, myself. But it did make me feel a little bit better. And so that's kind of where I was. Now, obviously, over the next few years, I started to do my own thing. So I started doing self-help and started to read different self-help books and that sort of thing. I was thinking, why did I attract this person? What was it about me that attracted him? Now, at the time when I met him, I was very vulnerable. I was going through a divorce. An ex-boyfriend had committed suicide, and that had obviously thrown me, as well as going through the divorce. And I was very vulnerable. When I was younger, I was very shy. Didn't sort of speak to people that much, and didn't always have the confidence to do stuff. I can remember not doing particular things because I was scared I was going to get it wrong or that sort of thing. And I was being bullied elsewhere. I was being bullied at school, and those sort of things. They all affect your confidence. So, to be honest, I was an ideal prey for him. So I'm just saying, if anybody's out there does, feel a bit unconfident, inconfident, not very confident, it can make you vulnerable to abuse. Now, when I say abuse, I don't necessarily mean physical abuse. To manipulation by people. You can get sucked into other people's agenda, other people's schemes and stuff like that. So just be careful anyway. So as I was doing this sort of self-development, healing, getting over what happened, I thought, okay, I want to try and do this, or I want to try and do that. At one point I thought, okay, I don't like heights particularly. So I thought, okay, I want to try and fly. I want to go in a glider or something like that. So I set myself that task, and I went up first of all, I went up on there's a place in South Britain called Torquay. It's a seaside, it's called the English Riviera, not the Italian Riviera, Christian. It's the English Riviera. And they had, I don't know if they still got it, but they had a tethered hot air balloon. So this hot air balloon was quite high above the town, and I went up in that just as a starter to try and get over the heights. And then I did look at flying lessons. My parents had died, so I'd got a bit of money by this point, and I looked at flying lessons. And I went in a tiger moth. I was very lucky and won a flight in a tiger moth. So I did that. I ticked that off my box. I started making myself talk to more people, do more things, go out more, and do more networking, and just do different things to push myself and sort of think, okay, I want to make myself better than what I was when I was with him. I found it as a chance to rebuild your life. You've been brought to your knees. When I discovered that, this was it. Something else I've got to tell you. After about 6 months, I got a call from a friend of his, whose cottage we had stayed with. Now, this is what destroyed me, really. And she said to me, "Have you seen him recently?" And I said, "No. Why would I want to see him?" And she said, "Well, well, exactly. Yeah, exactly." She had let him use her holiday flat, and the cleaner had gone in and found all the doors and windows open and him nowhere to be seen. This is the sort of thing that psychopaths do. They just don't have any respect for anybody's property or anything like that. And so she said to me, "I was sorry to see how much weight he'd put on." And I said, "Yeah, well, whatever." And then she said, "He looks like his mother." And I said, "His mother's dead." And she went, No, his mother's still alive. She's living in wherever it was she was living. I'm not going to say where. And I was really shocked. And then she said, now he claimed that his brother had been shot. And I said, well, what about his brother? His brother was shot. Oh, no, he's got 2 brothers and they're still alive. What? So basically, and I said, what about his dad? She said, well, his dad died. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I heard his dad had died. She said, I was at the funeral. So, yes, I can tell you his dad died, when and where. So everything he had told me, this, what I thought was a stable foundation for this relationship, was gone. It felt like the rug had been pulled out under my life. Everything I'd been told, everything I believed about us, me, him, was a lie, because it was all built on quicksand. And that's when I really fell apart. And I don't know, I didn't know what to do. I rang the doctor, and they gave me, or they couldn't give me anything because there wasn't much available on the NHS. Then my cousin gave me the details of a counselling service in Ealing, and I managed to get some counselling with them, 6 sessions, but that was it, really. And it's quite devastating to find that what you thought you believed is totally wrong, and it's life-changing, really. And I can remember just crying when I spoke to the doctors, crying. I don't know what to do. It's just all lies, all that sort of thing. So it was really quite devastating. And it was after that period, I was thinking, I've got to try and do something about this, get better, not be a target for these people anymore. And that's why I started to push myself to do all these different things, So I don't really want to get a word in edgeways, Christian. Do you want to say something? No?
Well, the fact is the first time after I started with this program on YouTube that I have a real deep story that can make the difference on my YouTube channel.
Right.
Because you are so genuine, you trust me tonight. You have spoken about yourself. Like we are friends, but you have opened your heart, your soul, your mind on public. And this one is something beautiful. That I'm sure this will inspire both men and women, because I created this channel because I want to help women, but at the same time I invite all men to watch my interviews. Because
now, this I would agree with, actually, Christian, because it's not just men that are psychopaths. There are women who are psychopaths. And there's a site called lovefraud.com, which is what I found this site about halfway through when I was recovering. And there are men on there who have encountered psychopaths, women psychopaths. And these guys, in some respects, they suffer more than the women, because obviously men are supposed to be, keep all their emotions in and all this stuff. And anybody who's had any encounter with a psychopath will know that it's devastating. Something I want to add, if someone has had that sort of experience, don't let anybody tell you you should be over it now, because that is one of the most deep, condescending and insulting things you could say to somebody that has experienced what we've experienced. You need to support people who've had this experience, because they need the validation, because their life they've been lied to so much. Sometimes you don't know which way is up. And then to have someone say, oh, well, you should be over it by now. How insulting and condescending is that? You have no idea what these people went through. So keep your mind, tiny little thoughts to yourself, and just be supportive. So that's quite blunt, I know. It's such a devastating thing, because you've been manipulated to such a an extent, psychopaths, they play on what is called the love hormone, oxytocin, and they'll play on the natural love boundaries within the human condition, and they'll hijack it. So they'll keep you on unbalanced. They'll be nice to you one minute, they'll not be nice to you another minute. So you don't know where you are, and because you've got the stress hormone cortisol going through as well, that it mixes with the oxytocin, and it creates a deadly toxin, and it in your chemistry, so you become addicted to your abuser, and it's called Stockholm syndrome. This is why a lot of abused women, particularly, cannot leave their partners, or try to, and then go back. And it's not because they're weak, or like people say, oh, I don't know why she went back to him, blah, blah, blah. It's because she's physically addicted to him, and it's not her fault or not their fault, because it's a chemical reaction. And a lot of people don't really realize this. It's not always mentioned. It's made out to be a sign of weakness when it's not. It's a physical thing. You've got this cocktail, this toxic cocktail of chemicals going through your body, and it's like any kind of addiction. You have to break free of it. You have to go cold turkey. And this is a top tip. Best thing to do if you're dealing with a psychopath and you're breaking out from a psychopath, or anybody who's disordered, is to go what's called no contact. And I do that in capitals with fingers, no contact. What that means is don't ring them, don't email them, and in this day and age, obviously don't social media them. Don't follow their social media profiles. Stop looking at what they're posting, because if you don't contact them, they won't get the drama. They feed off drama. And if you don't give them that drama, they'll move on to somebody else. And it's not your place to stop them doing that. If they want to go on to somebody else, that's another person's issue. It's to keep you safe and to help you heal. So no contact. But if you do have to have contact, say if you've got kids with this particular person, the next best thing is to go what's called grey rock. Grey rock is where you become so boring to this particular person that they're not interested anymore. Say, for instance, they'll say, what did you do today? Oh, I went and counted my sock collection. Oh, I counted how many baked beans I had for lunch. Oh, I went and washed the windows I don't know, whatever. It's something extremely boring. And the more boring you become outwardly to this person, the less interested they're going to become to you. So that's another way. And also that helps you. If you've got no contact with them and you've got no interaction with them, that helps the toxins in your body start to go down. So you're not living in this constant stress situation, and then you can break that kind of connection. There are other tips in my book, such as now a lot of people might start drinking, and that's not judgmental, because I know I did it when I was breaking up my marriage and everything. I did start drinking, but I would strongly advise not to drink while you're going through a situation like this. I went through this totally sober, or if you can manage it, reduce the amount of alcohol, because they're trying to unsettle you. They will come at you with game plays that you're not expecting, and if you're obviously in an emotionally vulnerable and emotionally vulnerable state, and you're drinking as well, that makes you more vulnerable, and you can't always deal with what they're sending you effectively. So I would advise reducing the amount of alcohol that you have whilst you're dealing with this sort of situation. In my book, I refer to it as a battle plan. Devise a battle plan of how you're going to escape. Take all your important documents and lock them away somewhere offsite that the other person does not have a access to. Keep a grab bag of your important documents, like your passport, stuff like this. A spare phone, spare battery charger, spare money, bits of money, somewhere that you can access it that they can't. Once you make your move, once you decide you're going to make the break, don't tell anyone, not even if you like, especially if you've got kids. Kids aren't necessarily very good at keeping secrets. So don't even say, oh, look, we're going to be going on a trip. Just do it. Even if you've got a good friend, don't tell them this. I didn't tell my friend that I was going to write the letter to the solicitor, because then that way, in a way, it protects the other people, because they've got deniable plausibility. They can say, I didn't know anything about it. But also, psychopaths will triangulate you. They will work with somebody else and make you out to be the unstable one. They will paint you in a bad light, and they will inveigle their way into your friendships and your family, and pit your family and friends against you, saying that you're the unstable one, the one that's got the mental health problems or whatever it is. And people won't believe you that they're doing anything wrong. It's called gaslighting. There's more you can look on the internet for things about gaslighting. So make your plan yourself and stick to it, and don't tell anybody else. And this gives you the element of surprise, because what you're trying to do is keep that balance tipped in your favor, so that you're not at the mercies of their agenda. So by not drinking, you're in control. By not telling anybody your plans, nobody at all, keep it to yourself, that tips it in your favor. It gives you that little edge of a certain amount of control and the ability to react in a sober way, so that you can save yourself. Because I was very lucky, it didn't turn fully violent, but for some people, unfortunately, it does. So if you're sober, it gives you that extra chance to escape. And just know you can get over it. You can build a new life. I'm already retraining again. I did a photography course, and I've done film courses. I've made an award-winning short film. My company has won a Best Creative Media Consultancy Award. So there is life after a psychopath. It's just getting you through those initial first weeks, first months, first years. And they do say that for every year you're with the person, it takes a year to recover. Was it? Yeah. So I was with him 10 years, and it's taken me, I would say, over 10 years, 15 years, because I still, it's really quite an unpleasant experience, and not everybody understands that. So I was saying earlier about validation. Don't insult people and say I was over it in like 2 months. No, there's no way you were. You might have been over a normal relationship, but not one with a psychopath, not one that's got their hooks into you properly like mine had. So there is life after a psychopath. There is healing after a psychopath. You do have to be careful with relationships after a psychopath. Don't go into one after like 2-3 months, because you're still vulnerable, and you've still got this kind of flag going, hello, come and sucker me, I'm a prey, I'm a victim. I find I'm a bit more guarded now with people. People I trust, obviously, I'm more open, but initially, at first, I'm watching all the time. Are you, what's your behaviour like? How are you treating me and stuff like this? If people are a bit funny, I'm a bit more cautious, Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And it's incredible how during my interview, I noticed the flow because people they start speaking about the business, but then go forward the personal private story. But it's the first time that I really listen to tips very useful to understand when is the time to leave a toxic relationship. Because many people, as men and women, they need to understand and discuss which are those um, uh, situation where is no love. Because
Yeah, well, this
we
is
need
it.
to
This is
understand.
not love.
Yes, we need to understand when is love or when is not love. Because as you told you before, if we are living in a toxic relationship, after a while our brain is as an toxic brainwashing. So we
Yes,
are
yeah,
not able to understand. And another tips is to understand that a toxic partner has the goal to destroy our self-esteem.
yes, definitely. I'd agree with that. They just want to destroy this for some reason. I don't understand what it is. Some people just like to destroy other people. There's something in their chemistry. Sorry, um, and that's their goal. We are prey for them. Somewhere to live, because I was somewhere to live for this guy. Money. When he realised, because I was doing freelancing, when I went from working in the retail shop to freelancing as a designer again, oh, he just went all lazy. He was sucking the money out of me, and some people like it for status. Like you'll find that there's a lot of CEOs and a lot of high people in business who are psychopaths, and they'll manipulate you because they want the position. And maybe I should quickly. We've got about 8 minutes left, haven't we? So maybe we should go over what gaslighting is. So
Yes,
gaslighting is a term based on a film in the 1940s called Gaslight, and
gaslight.
it's where, yeah, it's a black and white film from the 1930s and 40s, or Gaslighting, I think it's called. And it's where, so say for instance, the victim, i.e., say for instance me, or another person, the abuser will do something that is not normal. In that they'll sort of say, for instance, oh, I went to so and so and I did so and so. And you know damn well that they didn't because you saw them somewhere else. So they will lie to you. In this lighting movie, the man, he regulates the flow of the gaslight in the lamps because this is before electricity. So he reduces the pressure so that the lights start to flicker, and it makes the woman disbelieve the evidence of her own eyes. So the more he does this, and she sort of says to him, the lights are flickering. He goes, no, they're not. And he'll, even though the lights are flickering, he'll lie and say, no, they're not. So she starts to disbelieve her own perceptions. So it's stopping you listening to your gut. The gut, obviously you know where that is here. That is your third chakra.
Yes,
That's your solar plexus chakra. And if you listen to it, it's a very good judge of what's good and what's not. And these people will make you override your own instincts. Your instincts. I knew things were wrong with him and in the relationship, and not necessarily right at the beginning, but I did start to kind of get inklings that things weren't right. But I didn't listen to my gut, So it's all about becoming self-empowered, I would say, learning to become more confident in yourself, learning to listen to your inner wisdom, learning how to tap into that. So I did a lot of spiritual work. I started on a spiritual journey as well because of this. And I've learned more on how to listen to that. In the book, that I give a whole list of different red flags that you can see behaviour that people who are psychopaths tend to give. Not all of them give out the same stuff, but it's a general overview. But I'm currently working on a list of holistic therapies. Now I'm currently having EFT, which is emotional freedom tapping, and that has helped a lot in reducing a lot of the trauma that's still there, because these sort of ties can go on for so long, and they can also be, in my belief, I believe it's a soul level wound, and it can also be a spiritual connection wound as well. So that on some occasions you may need to go to a more holistic person, because it's very difficult these days to get counselling. So you need to be good to yourself, kind to yourself, and gentle with yourself, and treat yourself with not kid gloves, but treat yourself gently. Don't beat yourself up the fact that you got caught by this person. There's something about you that attracted them, which was probably the goodness of, because they like to destroy good people. So there's something good about they wanted to, or they don't have, and they want to have themselves. It depends on the person. I'm running out of battery, Christian. I'm not quite sure what's going on. My charger won't work. So, I'm hoping that I'm not going to lose the power. I don't know why it's not charging. I've got 12% left, so hopefully we've got a few minutes. So yeah, just be gentle with yourself, and be kind. I mean, you were targeted by someone I would consider a monster, and it's not your fault, really. There may be some personal weakness that you look at, but overall, it wasn't your fault. They just saw you as prey, and then once you've worked out what's going on, you need to look after you, sod everything else, just keep yourself safe and repair yourself, so, heal yourself. So do anything you can to do that, look into holistic treatments, spiritual treatments. And I do believe it's a soul level wound, actually. And I think the spiritual and holistic avenues are very good avenues to go down. That's what I've gone down. But for each person, it's different. My book hopefully will be out at some point, and it's called How to Survive a Psychopath. And the domain is howtosurviveapsychopath.com, which is not live yet. But should anybody want, obviously I'm not a therapist, but if anybody wants to talk, please feel free to drop me a message on social media, and I'll see. I mean, obviously I can't support as a therapist, but I can help share my experience. And just to let you know, there is life after a psychopath.
Yes, I suppose that after this experience, you can listen to carefully others' stories, and then give some suggestion how to deal and overcome toxic relationship. And how, especially.
I'm just giving you a site in the chat, Christian. This is an important site for anybody. It's a survivor site which I found, and I've got a profile on there. You can put you can put an anonymous profile on there. I'll just put it in the chat.
Thank you.
So you can get support from these people. It was set up by a lady who survived a psychopath, a lady called Donna Anderson. Her husband was a psychopath, and he bled her for millions. So there's all sorts of stuff on there. There's a forum where you can share your experiences. There's videos and all sorts of stuff on there. And it's lovefraud.com. That's it, lovefraud.com. That's obviously not my site, it's somebody else's site, but it's very helpful. I'm down to 9%, Christian. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on here. For some reason, it's just not charging. It was charging earlier.
So I am grateful to you because apart of your story experience, you have given more than usual interview, and I'm secure that this video can be watched many times in the future, and maybe casually somebody can find this video and then will be attracted to listen to you, your voice, your experience, your story, and so they can say, okay, now it's time to deal with this situation and live in my toxic relationship, because we have to understand what is love, and then that we are unique, and nobody else has to the right to destroy our happiness. This one is my viewing.
Yeah, you know, they don't have a right to destroy your happiness, or you for that matter. And you know, you have, it's not a loving relationship. It looks like a loving relationship. They put it in as a loving relationship, but it's not. It's all on their own terms, you know. So there are too many people out there in all walks of life, not just in the CEOs, and Hollywood would have us believe that psychopaths are axe-wielding homicidal maniacs. Some of them are, some of them aren't. And the more people realise that there are people out there who are out to get them, and they sort of say everyone has a bit of good in them. No, that's not true. Some of these people do not have good in them, and they're out to use you for their own ends, basically. So, particularly women, we're taught that everyone has a bit of good in them, and everyone can be redeemed, and that's obviously the very Christian view of it, and it's not true. And don't fall for that either, I would say. Listen to the gut. You know, if the gut's telling you something's not right, or something isn't right. You know?
Sometimes we want to follow an unrealistic story that is built in our mind, despite to accept the reality. So people, they build they fake, the novel, the romantic stories in their head, but they don't have any evidence in the reality. So they need to understand what is real and what is not, and what is a relationship. In fact, I want to help many couples as much possible in the future to understand what is a relationship and what is not a relationship. And then people, they can start to learn how to deal with certain problems. And then they can know, okay, I have a psychologist problem. It's time to go to the professional and heal my situation.
Yes. Yeah.
So I am very grateful having you tonight here. I hope having you again next year.
Okay.
Maybe I can create another format in a while, I'm thinking, because you inspire me tonight to create another format for my interviews. I think, yes. And then, so I know that you have a free gift for our viewers. They anytime they
I've
can.
got a 30 minutes, and I do Canva training. Anybody who uses social media, I normally do a workshop that is 90 minutes, or a one-to-one session, which is 90 minutes, but I can give 30 minutes for free to give you some Canva design tips and training if people want that, to help you get your social media off the ground. I'm literally down to 5%, Christian. Sorry, I'm a bit worried we're going to get cut off at 5%.
Oh, okay, sorry. So I invite our viewers to contact Nicola Gaughan on her website, and then to email her about the free 30 minutes Canva basic training. And then if they want to share their story, speak about themselves, they can email you on your website, so you can start a new experience, a new way to create the space for your happiness.
Yeah, so what I found, the number one major thing, Christian, was the validation. To have people who can say to me, I know exactly what you're going through, and you're not mad, because it makes you feel like you're mad, and you're not. and to have somebody sort of say you're not imagining it, it did happen, and you're not, it's not your fault. To have somebody say that to you is one of the major things of starting recovery from a psychopath. And if someone sort of says, oh, you should be over it by now, or whatever, that's just not, it's not helpful at all. So anybody that says that, just ignore them. It was a unpleasant and valid experience, and you can get over it.
So I believe you want next year we can have another opportunity to share more about your story, your business, and other tips about
Hopefully
your experience. Now it's time to give our great greetings to our viewers, because you have overpassed the hour, and then I'm sure that we can arrange another interview, maybe with another format. So, Nicola, I am very grateful tonight to listen to your story, understand more about the women life, about more toxic relationship, and then your inspirational story will help me to create a new format for the next year. I am very grateful. Thank you.
Okay, take care. I'm going to leave now. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
All the best.